and welcome back to another episode of the Cinematic Trinity, where we talk movies, games, and TV shows. And Doctor Who is back, baby. Season 14, or Series 1, whatever they're calling it, the Ncuti Gatwa.
Series 1.
Yeah, Season 1 on Disney Plus is out now, so the first 2 episodes have come out. We're here to give our thoughts, so let's get straight into it. So yes, we've already had like 1.5 episodes of Ncuti Gatwa already. We had the David Tennant special where Ncuti gets introduced, and then we had a whole Christmas special where he's, at the front stage of it. So we've watched all of those now.
But today we're only going to be talking about like the first 2 of the proper season.
Yeah, so it's Space Babies and The Devil's Chord are the 2 episodes we're talking about. So yeah, let's start off with Space Babies because that is the pilot of this new series.
Mm-hmm. The only person that I've not spoken to about this yet is Kieran.
Yeah.
So Kieran, if we can come to you first, please.
What a strange thing to have watched. We are currently also watching the David Tennant run of everything, and it is very evident that this is entirely different.
Yes, yeah.
And it's funny because it's like one of the same writers as Russell T Davies.
Oh yeah.
But you can tell like the massive departure they've taken from what was to what is now, and it just felt really strange. I can't sum it up in any more words. Like I know Doctor Who is very abstract. There's lots of different things about it, but I mean the babies talking and their lips actually moving hurt me in a way I can't quite describe.
Let's actually have some context to this. So basically, yes, Michael.
Yes, you go.
I will talk for a minute.
You go.
So basically, Doctor and Ruby arrive on this space station and it's full of babies. There's babies in test tubes, and then they go upstairs and there's babies that are running the ship. And you're right, they are doing some weird, like they're in Cats and Dogs CGI where the mouth is moving. And it's very uncanny, very weird. And essentially it's just about that. There's babies on the spaceship. Why are they on the spaceship? Why are they growing babies? Why is there a monster chasing after them, basically? And that is essentially the most basic premise of it. Yeah. But yeah, the babies themselves were just
It was a bizarre
weird
decision, I think. It was a bizarre decision to make them like human babies. Like, as they could have gone like to make them like alien babies, like as a sort of opener. I know it's like, look how far the human race has come. We're on space stations and we're growing babies in test tubes, and like these babies can like go 6 years without actually aging, kind of thing. Like, the future, wow. But then they could have done like telepathy, so the babies don't move their mouths. It's just kind of like, they're talking, but you don't see their mouths move. Or when I was talking to like our friend Logan, who does the theme tune for this podcast, like we were again talking about what they could have done, like whether it was aliens, if it was like you said, if the prams lit up when they were speaking, kind of thing.
If the like prams that they were attached to kind of read their minds, and then it was like a robotic voice that came out rather than the actual baby speaking.
Yeah, that would have just made me feel a bit more settled.
Yeah, because you're working with baby actors as well. So there's like bits where the babies are like, "Oh yay!" You're like, "I love you," kind of thing. But the baby's like the most uninterested. Yeah,
they're like clearly unhappy.
It's like that baby at the end is like, "I love you, Ruby Sunday." It's like, really? You don't look like you do.
That line unsettles me so much. You look at the baby's face, and as you say, it's just like completely distant in another world, and then you see its mouth move like twice, and it's saying like 7 words. It's like, oh no, no, please.
Yeah,
very bizarre, and just like for a pilot as well, just a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, I don't know why they went with it, and it made me not want to watch the rest of them. Quite frankly, like if I wasn't such a big fan of Doctor Who anyway, like I feel like I am a really big fan of it, and I want to watch it and I want to enjoy it, I want to like it. So watching that first episode, it was just like, oh no.
It was just very cringe, wasn't it? I think for lack of a better word, the whole thing was cringe. Because I mean, up front, like, obviously this is new. This is trying to get new people onto Doctor Who now. This is like a fresh start. Obviously, it does allude to the stuff that's come before, but if you haven't watched it before, you can hop on with this series and watch it.
Yeah.
So it does do the general thing at the beginning, like, I'm the Doctor, I'm an alien, I have 2 hearts, I'm from a planet called Gallifrey. Gallifrey's gone. I'm all alone in the universe.
I'm adopted.
Yeah, I'm adopted because
the
the Timeless Child arc, which ruined Doctor Who, but that's a whole other discussion kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it does need to set these things up, and that's why, like, Ruby as well, like, she's very much like, oh my god, you're 2 hearts, and oh my god, this is how this thing works. Oh, how can you do this? How can you do, it's just very exposition heavy, like, this is how the world works, this is how time travel works, blah de blah de blah.
This is what TARDIS stands for.
Yeah,
I haven't actually heard that in quite a while.
Yeah. I'm going to soup up your phone so you can talk to your mum on Earth kind of thing. So, it's all stuff we've seen before, but obviously other people, like, come into the show haven't.
But what I said was it's all stuff that we've seen done before, but maybe just, like, not as well. Like, the introduction to Rose, I think, and her, first major episode where they go to the, funnily enough, the space station, don't they? And it's the...
Yeah, people said it's very similar.
Whatever. Yeah, like, the dialogue is actually really, really similar. It's like, how much is that phone plan costing you? And Ruby makes the same joke, and that's the joke that Rose made. And it's just like, it's just not hitting the same for me. And I don't know whether that's because... I have watched the show, I've watched it many times, I've watched it very recently, those episodes, we've all watched it together, and whether that's the reason why it's not hitting the same, or whether it's just because it's just not written as well, the acting maybe isn't as good, which I think is probably the second one, to be honest with you, because I feel like even though I have seen a lot of Doctor Who and I know all the tropes and all the cliches and stuff, I still, like, lap it up every time.
I think you get it, like, whenever, like, a new companion comes into the Doctor as well, you do get the same stuff again. Like, how come people can understand us when we're on an alien planet? Oh, the TARDIS does this. Like, you do get that quite a lot. Because obviously every companion needs to have this explained to them. So other times you're not like, oh, come on, I heard this before. Whereas, like, in this, as you say, the way it's written, it is very much like, this is how this works. Why does this happen? This is how this works. It's not, doesn't feel organic, doesn't feel like it's just in general conversation. Like, I think it's like in we haven't got to it yet, but the Pompeii episode with Donna and, like, the Doctor, because she goes and tries to speak, like, Italian when they're in Pompeii, but she's like, no, don't do that. Like, the TARDIS does the job for you. Like, that's fine. And it's like comedic kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it does what it has to do. It's a pilot. It does need to set things up, but could have been better. Could have been like Christopher Eccleston when he first came in, like, introduced himself to Rose. Like, that could have worked.
Yeah.
The thing is, you think about how Ncuti Gatwa's character is and how Christopher Eccleston's character was, like, both at the start, and they're actually personality-wise quite similar, because Christopher Eccleston, like, despite how he seems, he's very upbeat and joking the entire time, and I feel like Ncuti Gatwa was definitely a more upbeat version, especially in comparison to, like, David Tennant, who's maybe it's a little bit more serious. So it's quite weird seeing how similar in ways they are.
Yeah.
I
But then
think you're right.
Christopher Eccleston just supported by that much better writing and better episodes so far.
Absolutely.
On the whole. I mean, the monsters, or the kind of villains, I guess, antagonists of the 2 episodes so far have just not really hit quite right
I don't think there's been the same, like, threat level.
No.
I think what I've always loved about Doctor Who is the fact that some of it is, like, light-hearted and fun, even though I hate that word, but it's still, it almost feels like it's grounded in reality in some really weird way, whereas I know we're kind of getting off topic off the episodes, but these past 2 episodes, it's not felt so grounded in reality, and it's not got that underlying level of seriousness. Whereas it's all fun and it's all jolly and it's all mild threat, whereas I want serious threat but with a few laughing jokes, because I think it is a kids program, and I think it's good for kids to not have everything, like, spoon fed to them, and it's not like, oh, don't worry, nothing's gonna happen. It's got to be like, actually, something serious could happen. The world could end.
Well, I joked in, like, the second episode, because it was like, I was like, oh, by this point, in, like, David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston, like, 4 people would be dead. But, like, I was like, 1 person dies in, like, those episodes. So, like, the threat is completely removed. I mean, like, on the Space Babies episode, like, the monster in the basement, like, the belly of the ship, is the Bogeyman. And, like,
Again, are you about to say some spoilers?
Yeah, we'll go.
Let's just put the spoiler thing in, just in case.
Yeah, here you go.
Spoilers ahead.
So yeah, the Bogeyman. So could have been very cool. Like, what is he? What's his deal with the ship? But it's basically the computer system that like bred the babies on board the ship was very literal, and like to sort of, it goes in like children's stories, so like makes a Bogeyman. So obviously it goes very literal, and it takes the snot and the bogies from the kids and makes them into a monster. So you kind of like, oh, I was thinking it was going to be like a member of the crew got like mutated or something, like be really that side of things, or because it like the twist could have been good, but then they tried to play up for laughs, like, oh my god, it's made of bogies, It
felt very. And I know it is kind of meant a little bit more for children.
Yeah.
But it felt very on the nose in that regard.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're going to make the comparison because you just are. Like, the original Doctor Who, like, run from Christopher Eccleston, it was maybe more of a young adult. It seems like they've shifted their target audience a little bit. And they're trying to find a middle ground where they're trying to do some serious stuff, like with the second episode where they go to London in 2024 and it's just in complete ruin because music is gone. And they're trying to put in those little serious moments, but then it doesn't really work because the overall tone is just that much more upbeat.
It was like at the very end, I mean, and there's lots of reasons why it didn't work, but in the end they think that they need to kill the Bogeyman, but they don't. They ended up liking it, and I don't really understand why. But anyway, and it's like, do you want me to? Am I supposed to have empathy for this giant bogey? Like, no, I do not. Like, no. I do not care one bit what happens to them, to anybody in this episode, even though it's babies. I literally do not care.
It's very like spur of the moment. Like, it's kind of like they're up for killing it. It's going to be blasted out of the airlock, and then suddenly the Doctor has like flashbacks of him saying, I'm the last of my kind, like, I'm the only one in the universe. He's like, oh my god, this Bogeyman is the only Bogeyman in the universe, even though they could probably create more if it's like a computer program. But anyway, he's like, I need to save this monster who's going to kill all these babies.
And all of a sudden all the babies are on board as well, and
they're like, oh my god, no, you're hurting it.
It's like, what is going on? Like, this is not made. It's not made for me. Which essentially, I'm not down for it.
I mean, I was talking to Logan as well, because it was just funny that the Doctor's like, I'm not going to kill this Bogeyman. But in the previous episode, when it's the goblins, like the Christmas special, he literally impales the Goblin King on a church spire. So it's like, what's your priorities here? So it just, the resolution just didn't feel good. Like, I feel like it could have been, if it was like, again, this probably would have been too dark, but if it was like the computer system made the Bogeymen and the babies, so they're like codependent on each other. So it's like, if you kill one, it kills the other kind of thing. And it's like, oh my god, no, you can't do it, because that's what the computer did. It went haywire, but it didn't. It's kind of like,
there's no stakes really.
And then suddenly the Bogeyman like wants to kill the babies and the Doctor, and then it gets saved, and it's just lives in the airlock now and like howls like a werewolf. I hated the sound effects for the Bogeyman because they used werewolf, they used velociraptors from Jurassic Park, and that really triggered me because like they're such iconic sound effects. But I'm like, why is this? Why you used? But
I mean, there was a lot of poor choices made in this episode, and I just don't really like childish toilet humour and stupidness, as I call it. I just don't like it. So this episode was literally my worst nightmare. I think for a pilot,
I don't know.
I think if they were going to do the thing where Ncuti Gatwa was like, he's standing over it and he's going like, this is the last one. Like, we can't let this one die. They didn't give the monster any humanity or any redeemable qualities that makes you go, yes, they need to save it, or like gives you anything to say like it needs to be alive, because the entire thing, it was literally just running after them trying to kill them.
Because there was one point where the baby goes down there and then he's basically hidden somehow, but I thought it was going to be like that he'd go down there and actually the monster didn't want to hurt him,
and it was just like
his friend.
That would be like a carer.
That would have been good.
I thought that's what it was going to be, but clearly, not.
Should have been like a twist of like, 5 babies went down there and they never came back. Oh my god, the monster must have killed the babies. But it was like, oh no,
it's got like a little nursery in it.
Yeah, something like that. Like again, even if you did it like it was a former crew member kind of thing, like, oh my god, what is this monster? Oh wait, it was like the previous nanny on the ship kind of thing. So I don't know. I
feel like that would have made so much more sense as well. Like there's little things you can do to tweak the story, like not like impact the overall episode an awful lot, but just change little things to do that, to give the monster more humanity, to make you empathise with it a little bit more. Yeah. And then you're just like, oh, instantly that's a much better episode, and I enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, because like, a little bit more complex. Space Station episodes of Doctor Who can be really good because it's like the girl in the fireplace one when it's the clockwork robots, because that's like another one where the computer went a bit haywire because obviously the ship was in like disrepair. Because I was messaging Logan this as well. I was like, oh, do you remember when the computer went haywire and then the robots just killed the crew and like used their body parts to repair the ship because they didn't have anything else? Like that was a good twist, like on the space station kind of thing. But this one just did not have a twist, or like it just really, really struggled. So I would, as a pilot, I would not recommend like watching it. Yeah. For this like show, if you want to get introduced to it. You know, obviously there are better Doctor Who episodes, so I think there's not much more to say. I think we'll just move on to the second episode because we've literally.
Can I say one?
Oh
thing?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
You saying that like you know what I'm going to say?
No, I do not. No.
Oh yeah, of course. I said it. Yeah, well, we move on.
Yeah, I was just going to say that all I kept saying to you, in fact, 2 things. First thing was all I kept saying to you was, we are 10 minutes in and nothing's happened.
Yes.
We are 12 minutes in and nothing's happened. We are 17 minutes in and nothing's happened. All we're getting is, oh, aren't the babies so cute? Oh, these babies are talking. Oh, what's going on with the babies? And it's like, why is nothing happening? It needs to be fast-paced. And it meant that when we got to the end, when we were actually dealing with the stuff that was the monster, the threat level, we didn't have enough time to do anything. There was so much like talking about with the babies. Yeah. So that was the first thing that I was going to say. The second thing that I was going to say was, I really hate it when the theme plays first. I'm sorry, but what the sense of like joy that I get when we watch Doctor Who and it's David Tennant and he's like, oh yeah, we're going over here, and he's like, I can't save us, and then it's doom da doo and the theme starts playing. That just fills me with so much excitement. And it's like when it plays straight away, it just doesn't hit the same. It really wound me up. So
well, that leads that's a good segue to the second episode, The Devil's Chord, because that does have a cold open, which leads into the theme tune.
It does, which I really enjoyed. I did really enjoy it, I have to say, because you know. They're sat at the piano and it's all happening, and then the theme starts playing via the piano. And I did think that, you know, if they didn't do that, it would have been a missed opportunity. So I'm glad that they did it.
Well, it sets up the villain because basically this one is it's Maestro's the villain, who is this like god, basically like the embodiment of music, I think is what they sort of call them. So basically they're there, they get introduced at the beginning because this guy plays the piano in this forbidden chord, like summons Maestro, who then just like, you know, their whole thing is like music, so they use like musical chords to kill people and stuff and like suck people's music out of their bodies or like their potential to make music, which is like a cool idea. And like as a villain, it's very campy, like, you know, they're very over the top and kind of, I can't tell if it was like unintentionally funny or if they were actively going for, so because me and you were laughing at some line deliveries or just
I suppose, I mean, I feel like at the start of the episode I wasn't really sure what was happening, but I didn't watch the episodes with Neil Patrick Harris and
it was like
because that kind of leads in, like the toy maker kind of leads into that kind of villain, if you will. Because I know you said like that. Well, I've seen a clip where they mention like the one who waits or something, and that was mentioned at the end of this episode as well. So there's an overarching like plot line that they're trying to kind of push there. So at the start I was a bit like, what's happening? Like this is very I don't want to say sci-fi because Doctor Who is sci-fi, but you know, it's very avant-garde. So I was a bit what's going on at first, and then like, you know, kind of It was interesting.
It felt weird for like Doctor Who, because I think it was the Toy Maker episode as well. It's kind of weird that like the Doctor Who universe has like gods in it. Like it's not just.
I think that's the thing.
It's not like
not introduced.
Well, because
it's not just a monster, is it?
Yeah, because like in the Neil Patrick Harris, like the Toy Maker episode, like he can just control like reality and stuff, and like he can make things disappear and like reappear. But it's not because he's like an alien. He is just a cosmic being kind of thing, and that's what Maestro is, but just for music, like that's their whole thing.
But I also think that with the Toy Maker, obviously, as you said, he can shape reality, so there's a lot of threat there. It's like with in Marvel and Thanos, and he's like, when they shoot the gun back, it's bubbles that comes out, and
when he gets like the Infinity Gauntlet,
exactly. And it's like, oh my god, like you don't know what's real or what's not, and that's a very interesting concept. But with this, I think if the performances weren't as strong as they were in this episode, which credit where credit is due, I think that the acting was much better in this episode, and actually pretty good. I would go as far to say like they were all pulling their weight in this episode. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, because the threat of music being taken away, even though they showed you the consequences of London being ruined, I didn't necessarily feel that consequence. Like we just saw it, but we didn't really see it in action.
It's like a very extreme version, isn't it? Because they go to the 60s, they go to the Beatles studio, and that's when I think the setup there is quite good, actually, because like they go there thinking, oh, we're going to listen to all this music like come to life in front of us, but they're actually playing like really crap songs. They're very generic, because like no one's got like any musical creativity.
Sounds like me trying to do my music GCSE composition.
Self-roast there.
It does. Well, that is the only form of humour I have, Michael.
There we go. So, because that's really cool, like, it's just like, oh my god, something. I like it when Doctor Who does something and it's like, oh, something's off here, and like, what's going on? Like, something's amiss.
I really like it when he's like, no, because they do it in Christopher Eccleston as well, don't they? And it's like, no, the Earth should be thriving, but it's not. It's like, oh my god, he knows that something's happened, because he knows the history of the Earth so well. He knows what should be happening, so he's like, oh no, this shouldn't be happening with Finland, this shouldn't be going on here, everything should be like perfect and really happy, or whatever, or such and such person should be in power, not somebody else. And I really like it when they do that. I find
it's always good when like history flips on its head kind of thing. So Maestro's whole thing is like to take music away from the world, and the Doctor kind of explains this to Ruby to be like, oh my god, we can't beat this guy, like, music's going to be taken away, like the world's doomed. Ruby does the thing kind of expositional where it's like, wait a minute, but I can't be dead because it's 1962 and I was born in 2004. 2004.
Oh, I know,
I'm 24, so she's younger than me.
She's younger than you. I just don't know how anybody can be younger than you. You are the youngest person I know, apart from Kieran.
Kieran's only a few months younger, though. You're not 4 years younger. So
6 months.
But they say that. She's like, oh, how can I still be alive? And it's the whole, like, I do like the whole, well, time's always in flux kind of thing.
Let's just say, literally what we were saying 10 minutes ago, I was saying 10 minutes ago, was we've heard all this, heard all this exposition before, but better. Whereas this time, yes, we've heard that 1,000 times before of, but I'm from the future, so nothing has gone wrong. But again, the delivery and the writing made it work. It didn't make me think, I've heard this all before. It made me think, you don't know, like, just wait and see. I think I know that it's all going to go to...
They made it different because they took her to show what happens, kind of thing. Because there's always like the Doctor, like, take my word for it. You're going to be screwed. Whereas literally he's kind of like, well, we'll go see what the world looks like in 2004 or 2024 then. And that for me is a bit like, oh, there's no music, therefore London is like a nuclear wasteland kind of thing. Because I know it's the extreme thing, but I was kind of like, that seems a bit...
How did we get from no music?
Like, it could have been they went there and like it's still the thing, like everyone's like, maybe it's like a grey scale.
Maybe everyone's walking backwards.
Like a grey scale world, everyone's like miserable kind of thing, and like they go see her mum and she's like, I ain't got no music in me kind of thing, like,
they already kind of did that in the Christmas episode.
I suppose they did, when like Ruby gets erased and the mum's like all like serious and doesn't foster kids.
So
it's like the more extreme version.
Then she should know, shouldn't she, that things.
Well, Ruby doesn't know because Ruby she didn't exist. So she's not going to know, is she?
Oh, right. Well, that shows how much I know.
So it's the extreme version, because it's kind of like no music, therefore world gets nuked basically. So that's the whole thing. They need to stop Maestro, and it's not the Doctor and Ruby who save the day in this episode. It is
George and John.
What? I thought it was Paul McCartney.
Paul and John.
Ringo and Paul.
Ringo and George.
It would have been funny if they should have got all the Beatles rather than just like the two most famous. They are the two most famous ones. They should have just got Ringo
on it, to be fair.
Get Ringo to say that. All I could think about was the Family Guy thing. Was like, and don't forget Ringo, or whatever they like. Or the one with the two girls like, I fancy John, I fancy Paul, I kind of fancy Ringo, and they like shows up outside the bedroom like, oh, someone say my name, it's me, Ringo. I don't know why, I could just think about that. But yeah, John Lennon and Paul McCartney save the day.
Save the day.
Because the Doctor with like these celestial beings, if like a chord can bring them into existence, or like unbanish them, then there's going to be a chord.
They have like set rules.
Yeah. Which like that element's cool. I liked that with the toy maker because his whole thing is because he likes games, he will abide by the rules of the game. He can't cheat and stuff, and he'll do like best of 3. So that's really cool. But yeah, they do like, I'll play this chord and you'll get banished, and that's kind of when me and you started laughing because the Doctor's there trying to play all the notes and stuff.
Well, because they do that, and then like the Maestro just like has like intense agony. And then just starts laughing.
Yeah. You just be like...
And the longer it goes on, the more I'm like, this is utterly ridiculous. It's just I hope if I die exactly like this.
It's just very much just like... it was so good. I think I will give credit to the I can't remember the name of the person who played Maestro. Like they did give their all into
definitely
being over the top. Like as a villain, it was very campy, but it was played really well, and that's why the second.
Is it campy or is it just camp?
I don't know.
I feel like
campy now.
That's my turn of phrase.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did a really good job, and they played a really, it's like just very eccentric kind of villain.
Yeah, definitely. It was very eccentric, but I think it made it, like it wouldn't have been as good if the performance was as good, because again, like the threat level isn't major, and it is a very different episode of Doctor Who. Like even though there's a monster, it's not like a monster in the casual sense of the word of it. It's not like different. So no, it was interesting. I think at least like it was much better than the first episode. It gave me a bit of hope.
Yeah, I was gonna
for the rest of the season,
because I think we saw someone else with the opinion. Like I don't know whether you'd agree, if they flipped the episode, so Devil's Chord was the pilot and then Space Babies was the second episode. Do you think that would have been somehow better? Like would you have been less like, oh my god, this is the pilot, I can't believe how crap this is, or where you could have watched it and maybe been like, oh, this is probably a good sign. Like it could be.
I don't know, because I always was going in with the intention to watch both.
Yeah.
So to me, it doesn't matter which order they're in. I mean, obviously with a pilot, you want to start strong, and they didn't. So if someone was only going to watch one episode, like they're going to base the like opinion of, am I going to watch this show based on that first episode, and they watch that, they're going to be like, no.
Yeah.
So in that way, yes, they probably should have flipped it, or just put the baby one like in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Put it like an episode 5.
It's very middle of the road kind of
it's
episode,
like,
not an opener.
We'll just chuck it in there.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
It's just I mean. Yeah, basically they just need a second writer to just vet what Russell T Davies is going. No, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. I think the second episode got a lot more promotion as well, because I knew nothing about the Space Babies episode.
I didn't even realise that there were Space Babies.
I think it's probably because they realised they didn't. Yeah, because
I saw like the opening bit with like Maestro. That was like a clip where it was like them coming out of the piano and doing the whole it's so sad, Timothy, or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever they go like that bit. So you're kind of like, oh, this is like interesting. What's going to happen in this episode? And then nothing for Space Babies apart from, I mean, there was one clip where Ruby steps outside, steps on the butterfly, and becomes a reptile for 2 seconds. Like that's the only thing. But yeah, they could have. I think mid-season would have been good, because you always get a few duds in some Doctor Who series. Which is like,
I mean, we don't say that like every single episode of Doctor Who is perfect. We know that there's some rubbish episodes out there.
Yeah.
But I still have a lot of love for them in my heart, even if they are rubbish. But for this, I'm not going to have any love for it because I've got no nostalgia for it, which is the difference.
I think it is jarring. I think at the end of the day, because they are maybe catering for a younger audience, it is jarring for like us.
Do you think it's not necessarily a younger audience? Do you think it's an American audience?
Because it's Disney, you mean?
Yeah.
Nah.
I don't really know what American humour is.
Disney funding it?
I think so, yeah. I think that's the
why
whole...
And that's something to say. The CGI in the first episode was, apart from the moving mouths, but all the outer shots of space and stuff. Fantastic. Excellent CGI. Nice to see it coming up to modern standards. But that's because of the Disney money.
The Disney money,
Yeah.
So
I wonder if it is...
still allowed to be on BBC.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like...
I think that's the thing. It's allowed to be... It doesn't feel like this is a BBC programme. It feels like this is a Disney programme that's allowed to be on the BBC. And I think that's a real shame.
I'm pretty sure it comes out like midnight as well, like on Disney Plus. So like, you know, if you're an average UK viewer, you have to kind of avoid spoilers. Because I had some stuff come on my TikTok, so I was like, oh, okay, I guess I won't wait till like 7 o'clock this evening to watch the 2 episodes then.
Yeah, I think it's a shame. And as a British person, and say what you want about the BBC and the fact that the TV licence is £14 a month, which is ridiculous, but I will still continue to watch it on iPlayer, and I refuse to watch it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, so I think they've kind of burnt, like, that is them, they are branching out, which is good. Like, you bring in Doctor Who to a wider audience, and hopefully, I don't know if the older seasons are on Disney Plus, like whether that's like
I actually don't know, but I feel like that's the thing. It's season 1, so it can be season 1 on Disney Plus.
Yeah, because it almost feels like
and all the other ones
almost
are on
like a weird. Because if you have like the older seasons on Disney, it's like a gateway kind of thing. Like, you'd like new Doctor Who. Do you want to go watch the old stuff? Like, you know, or the really
if somebody
old stuff.
comes into this and says, "Oh, I really like those 2 episodes," I was like, "Just you wait. You go back and watch those Christopher Eccleston episodes. You will be What's the phrase? Your socks will be blown off."
Your socks shall be blown off. Watching Christopher
socks, they're gone.
That's the best way.
No more socks for you.
Don't stay with your feet. They'll be gone after you watch those episodes. I hope it does get more people onto it. But yeah, there's definitely like we've said already, like there is definitely a sense where you're watching like this is such a departure from what's come before, and like I do. Like, obviously, Russell T Davies did some interviews, and he's like, I want Doctor Who to be fun. It's been very serious before, but it's also like...
I want it to be serious.
You want the kind of... You need a balance of it.
Yeah.
And this isn't necessarily a criticism of Ncuti Gatwa, because we've watched him in Sex Education, where he can do serious really well, and they have the kind of... The jokey, like, part of that, and then there's also the really serious parts of Sex Education. This, I feel like... He can do the very cheerful, light-hearted stuff very well, but he can't do the little shift into slightly serious for kids stuff. He can do serious for more like grown-up
proper
stuff,
serious.
But
I wonder if there is going to be a chance for him to do proper serious.
I mean, I'm wondering if that's what they're doing, and that's why the baby episode was first. Maybe it's going to like get
hopefully,
more gradually more and more.
I hope so, because it seems as though there is going to be, and I love an overarching story. Yeah. As I said about Bad Wolf, I love the fact that it's an overarching story. So if they're doing that, fabulous. And I'm looking. After I watched the first episode, I was like, I'm sorry, but if the second episode is more of the same, I'm just not watching it. Like my heart can't take it. I will just go and rewatch the old ones. Which
look how they massacred my boy.
I know. Well, I can't. Like honestly, I love it so much. Yeah. It's so ridiculous, but I do. But no, I'm looking forward to the next few episodes and seeing what it brings. Yeah,
I think you need to give kids more credit, like especially because we grew up like watching it, and like we can watch it back now and be like, oh my god, that was like a lot more dark. Hard-hitting, but like at the time, you don't think that. Like I don't think we grew up and watched episodes like Father's Day and thought, oh my god, like that was such a sad episode about Rose's dad. You probably watched it and thought, oh my god, the Doctor's fighting
cool monsters.
Yeah, like that is literally it. You grow up and think monsters.
Like, could you imagine being a kid? Could you imagine buying the bogey monster and going like, oh, look at this really cool toy that I've just got. Oh, it's made out of bogies. Oh my god, it's so cool. Or oh my god, look at this person. They steal everybody's music. Oh my god! Like that doesn't scream like cool child toy, does it?
Yeah, don't you? Maestro figurine. That
well, you're not buying one. You're not allowed to buy
with the little,
any more collectors.
They could have a little accessory. The the tune. What do they call it? The thing
tuning fork.
Yes, that. Yeah.
Well, you could just buy one. Like it doesn't have to be a
accessory. It has to be a plastic one on a toy. With the
I want my official Doctor Who licensed tuning fork
in a puddle.
with accompanying puddle.
Puddle sauce.
Oh god. Yeah, maybe they'll come up with more monsters that look interesting potentially. But yeah, I feel like give kids more credit. Like, it can be fun. Like, there was definitely times where we grew up and they're like, oh, this is a fun, like, stupid episode. Like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, don't be afraid to sort of not challenge kids with like the stuff they're watching, but don't be afraid to like scare them. Don't be afraid to be like, oh my god, like put them on the edge of their seat kind of thing. Because they're not idiots,
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be this monster's made of bogies or they're gonna steal.
I mean, it's only like the Daleks. Like, come on, they are terrifying. Like, when you think about it, they are terrifying.
And as a kid, you think
and
they're
that's
really
good. Yeah, you just think it's like you think that they're scary, but they're also like cool.
Yeah, growing up for me, I remember the werewolf episode like really freaked me out as like a kid.
Yeah.
Like thinking, oh my god, like because I just didn't like werewolves. But then like you watch it back now and you're like, oh, it's alright episode. Like not much happens. So, and like I mean,
not
like,
still scared of it, are you?
No. We like Weeping Angels as well. Like as a kid,
I mean, they are still.
They are terrifying, but
but they make
good.
for good tension.
Yeah,
and regardless of whether you're 8 years old, or you're our age, you know, it's still good. It still hits the same, and that's because it's good writing, and they're not afraid to tell a story.
Yeah, exactly.
And to everyone, like people can watch whatever.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. You don't need to say, right, this is for like young teens, like kids. We need to make it nice and jolly, nice and happy. Like, yes, you can have that, but as you say, don't write off kids for not having like serious stories. Like, there's a lot of issues which kids can appreciate and relate to, and sometimes that in a way makes them go, oh, okay, so maybe it's not just me, and
exactly. Plus, there's other shows that can do stuff for the kids, can't there? Like, if you want the kids to watch like mystery but light-hearted, get them watching Scooby-Doo. Were you thinking the same?
Yeah.
Literally, like Scooby-Doo, and then move on to Doctor Who.
Start off with What's New Scooby-Doo, then you go to Mystery Incorporated, because I think that was slightly more edgy, like slightly more grown-up Scooby-Doo.
Where do the films come in?
I
think they're any time. Yeah, they're pretty like
Save that for last because you're not getting better than that.
Only watch the two live action, like the two mainline live action ones, because I think they made like two crap like straight to DVD ones. So
Oh, did they? I didn't know about that.
Well, not like with this. It wasn't like Freddie Prinze Jr. and like Matthew. It was
it doesn't matter.
Different cast, different times. It wasn't peak cinema. I think just don't be afraid. Maybe like try and do some mature stuff. Maybe they're going for like a thing where the audience grows up with the show, so the stuff gets more mature. Because if it is like a fresh, soft reboot kind of thing, maybe that's what they're going for. Is like these kids are going to watch Doctor Who for the next 10 years of their life. So why don't we just throw in some more mature stuff in a few seasons' time? But maybe they're just playing it safe, test the waters a bit.
They probably are playing it a bit safe.
And then
I think with whatever story they've got going on with Ruby, I think that's going to end up getting a little bit more.
It can't not be deep
because there's so much to unpack there that you need to have a pretty serious overarching plot to kind of support
they could because it's not been too subtle that there's something off with Ruby, because even like Maestro is like, oh my god, it's the secret song, like what's wrong with you? It's like abomination kind of thing, like whereas I feel like in other stuff like Bad Wolf was subtle. Did you watch any of Matt Smith's like run?
Some.
There was like a whole thing of like whether Amy was like pregnant or not, and that was like a running thread, but that she turned out to be a clone kind of thing. Like that was well done, because I was like, oh, Doctor thinks there's something off here, what's going on? And then it got like revealed and it was like, oh my god, kind of thing. Whereas now it's like clearly something's up with Ruby. Is Ruby human? We don't know. Doctor's trying to find out, so who knows? She's the chosen one. I see there's an episode, I think I was saying to Kieran, like the penultimate or the finale is called The Legend of Ruby Sunday, because we were watching someone could like look at the episode title, so who knows? Hopefully that's got a good payoff. I don't know whether maybe there'll be maybe she'll be a like celestial being, like the toy maker, and
she'll be the one who waits, or whatever it's called.
So like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. Could you imagine? I mean, this is only 8 episodes as well. We've had 2 already, so we've only got 6 more weeks and then it's done.
That's a shame.
Could you imagine if like Disney Plus unveiled all the episodes like straight away, but BBC people still had to wait?
Like, I'm gutted that it's on Disney Plus anyway, and that they get it before us. I'm very bitter. I'm a very bitter.
I did a TikTok on it, like being like, it feels very weird that people are saying Disney Plus is the new home for Doctor Who, and like I did get a few people in the comments be like, well, I don't live in the UK, I can't watch it otherwise. So I was like, that's.
And it's great for that, but it's like
it's not saying
like there's nothing wrong with something being British.
But it's also like it's just that
Is there not?
It was the.
Why are you looking like that?
Because I'm thinking of something in my head, and it's just making me laugh. But I don't think it's necessarily a podcast or whatever.
I feel I need to know now.
I know it is.
It's fine.
Oh, will you tell us after then?
It was the turn of phrase, because like just saying the new home for Doctor Who, because that's like Disney is stealing it from us, the British public. It's not just saying Doctor Who now streaming on Disney Plus. It's now saying this is the quintessential place to watch Doctor Who now.
Yeah, this is its home.
But you know what? That's the main comment I was getting. I was like, it's still on the BBC in the UK. It's like, yes, I know. I'm just adjusting to it no longer being on there, because I was like, I thought America had BBC America, so like, why can't you just have it on there? Yeah,
BBC America.
Yeah, for a while. Yeah.
British Broadcasting Centre America.
Yeah.
What?
It was definitely a thing, because I remember Matt Smith's stuff was on there, because they did like loads of trailers for it, and it had the BBC America logo. So yeah, there you go.
Crazy.
I think
a whole new world.
A new fantastic point of view.
Stop that.
Oh wait,
that's a good way to lead into
that is a good
something
segue.
That was very strange that happened at the end of the episode.
Oh my god!
Like the 5-minute musical number.
I can't believe we didn't even talk about it.
Yeah, it's
my worst nightmare.
It's at the end of this podcast. There is a twist
at
the end.
There's always a twist.
There's always a twist.
So yeah, Doctor Who. At the second Doctor Who musical number in like 3 episodes, because we had one briefly.
I don't like it. I don't. I'm sorry.
But
the thing is, if it was like a tune, or if it was like a real bop, like High School Musical or something. Yeah, exactly. That is. Thank you for translating. Then I'd be down for it, but it's not. It's got no context other than in the actual show, and it's like if you want me to, first of all, it's going to be in my head. Like it's already in my head. But it's not like a good song being in my head, and it's like you walking around and you're like, whatever. Yeah. It's like, this is just terrible. Like, what is going on? Like,
there was just zero context for it. Like, just thinking about it now, they could have done a whole thing because there
wasn't even a twist at the end.
No.
What was the twist at the
whole
end?
thing is the twist, the dance move, the twist.
Look, the music's back, so we're all dancing.
I bet. Maybe it was
me.
they couldn't get the licensing for Twist and Shout by the Beatles. So they went,
they just said,
what are we going to do?
Let's make our own.
I did wonder that, because obviously they had Beatles, but the amount of money it would have cost to license a Beatles
there was
song.
no Beatles music. It wasn't even like sometimes, because they were like, there was a time where they had to they were interviewing John Lennon and Paul McCartney separately, trying to get them to talk about music, even though they weren't interested in just talking about cats and dogs and stuff. And I thought that they'd be like, I was just sitting around and I was thinking about this yellow submarine, or I was thinking about this guy.
I feel like that would have been.
And I said to him, hey Jude, and it's like, why are they not doing stuff like this?
That is like MCU level of like. And then I was just sort of sat there and I thought, let it be.
Looks like we're some kind of yellow submarine.
And then I was there.
What is it?
What's
the thing where it's like, it's some kind of
suicide squad?
That's it. Yeah.
Some sort of the Beatles.
Some sort of Beatles.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean though? Like that would have been cool if they did that, but clearly they couldn't get any licensing.
Should have done the guitar beat for Come Together.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there should have just been 3 Beatles at the start, and then there's just like a reveal at the end, and it's just Ringo walking in.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Looks like this band could use a 4th member.
A star.
A Ringo star.
What is this accent that you pulled from nowhere?
I don't know, I was trying to do Beatles like.
Well, I know.
Podium, but...
yeah, I'm getting it. It's fine, but it's just, I've never heard you do it before.
And I was just sat there and I thought, come together. Right now.
How many more Beatles songs can we fit in?
Yeah. Oh, God. But yeah, very weird because it's just very weird. Like, it's just not Doctor Who dance numbers, so it's just like. I know Russell T Davies as well. I think when they did the Goblin King episode, because that's the first one where there's a musical, he was like, I want to try and do more of these. I didn't realise he wanted to do, in the third episode, 2 episodes after the first musical.
I hope that there's not a musical episode, because you know that is literally my worst nightmare. There are many things that are my worst nightmare. That is probably very high up the list.
I'd say the only thing that supports there not being another one is that the villain of that one was centred around music. So that would make sense.
It's like do a musical number in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like when they were fighting,
do a better one.
You could have done like a musical number.
I kept thinking there was going to be one, because it was the whole like him, Maestro looking for them and being like, where are you? I thought it was going to turn into like, where are you, Doctor? You know. There you go, hire me and I'll do the soundtrack for it.
I want to hear the rest of that.
Also, if they were going to do a musical number, why waste having Neil Patrick Harris in there? Because he should have him and Maestro do a duet.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care that there was probably something that
maybe
they couldn't come back.
Yeah.
Bring him back anyway.
Just in spirit.
It was just the lack of context, because I feel like they could have done like a weird, it's the residual energy of Maestro going into banishment means there's music in the air and we all like feel compelled to sing and dance. But
I thought it was going to be, because there was at some point Maestro said, I'm feeding off the energy of all of the unsung songs, kind of like the Weeping Angels, where they feed off your life that you didn't live, essentially. So I thought it was going to be that the Doctor and Ruby would start singing like a really well-known song from like way in the future, and it'd just be like building and building and building, and that's what would like, and she'd just like shrink away.
So it was just the stupidest thing. Maybe it should have been that Maestro was dying, and then he just vomits and Taylor Swift comes out like, all the music together, it's making a being. And then it's just Taylor Swift comes out and then does the Eras tour, and then that's the looks like we need to do some kind of Eras tour.
Goodness me.
Yeah, I feel just don't do that again, Doctor Who.
No more musical numbers, please. Unless it's a bop, then fine. But I doubt that it's going to be a bop.
Yeah.
So I don't want it.
But second episode, an improvement over the first one. I feel like, again, hopefully it's starting to pick up momentum now. Hopefully the quality and stuff starts to... Well, I mean, to be fair, actually, the third episode, the one coming up, is written by Stephen Moffat. So...
Is that good or bad?
He did The Empty Child and stuff like that.
What bad ones has he done?
He also did Blink though as well. So he has done.
But that was like 10 years ago, Michael.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the consensus among Doctor Who fans is when Stephen Moffat has written episodes and not like been showrunner,
like
he's been good.
Right. Okay.
Like he hasn't written like a bad. I don't think he's written a bad episode when it's been him helming it, like kind of thing.
Okay.
So hopefully, because I think it's called Boom, and it looks like the Doctor steps on a mime. On a mime.
On a mime.
I feel like you just go from Maestro about music and then just suddenly do the celestial mime. Oh god. But yeah, like steps on a mime.
Oh, goodness me.
Yeah, it could be good. Steps on a mine, and then it's like I really try not to say mime every time I say that sentence.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, it could be good. Hopefully, I'm saying it could be good because it's Stephen Moffat. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see. We might do our full thoughts when the whole series has come out. So stay tuned for that.
We'll see if there's anything going on in 6 weeks' time.
Yeah,
and if not, then we'll shove it in there. But if there is, then
we'll pump out the content, pump it out.
Yeah, we've had a couple of weeks off, haven't we? So
we had 1 week off.
Well, it felt like ages.
It did, yeah.
Did I join the... Anyway, it doesn't matter. This episode's already way too long. Let's wrap it up.
I know. I feel like on so many tangents and it just kept going.
Well, that's always the same. We do it every single time.
Don't even worry about it. Just keep
Forget
going.
about it.
Forget about it.
Yeah, Doctor Who, that was it. As I hopefully more stuff to come, that it gets better. But I think in the meantime, that's been a good review of those 2 episodes.
Indeed.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Cinematic Trinity. I've been Michael.
I've been Kieran.
And I've been Tulip.